Hi there, and welcome back to another paraview tutorial. So we have covered a lot when it comes to qualitative post-processing, but I think I missed something, which is volume rendering. So let me show you a little bit now what is volume rendering, how to use it using the same dataset, the YF17. So here I'm going to open first this dataset using paraview using my virtual machine. Okay, so remember, virtual machine, you are sharing resources, so this volume rendering can be a little bit expensive, but I want to show you something. So dataset, okay, I'm going to use parafoam built-in actions. You use parafoam, if I will recall, you are not going to see this volume action render is not a big deal. Okay, I'm going to show you something else later, but let me open here. So we do the post-processing exactly the same way, nothing changed, but when it comes here, you will see that you have the representation type and you have different types. Okay, and the one that I'm talking, I hope at this point we're all familiar with everything except volume and probably point Gaussian. That, let me show you, just putting those points here, and this can be very useful for some kind of specific post-processing some cases, but we are focused in this one, volume rendering. So when you click there, look at that, paraview is going to give you this big warning. So this dataset, where luckily it's a small one, but still you are going to need resources to visualize that. So if you're working in a small notebook, stuff like that, likely this stuff is not going to work. Okay, so I already can see my the GPU, the fan of the GPU kicking in. So basically this is volume rendering. Okay, you can see everything inside the domain. So when can you use it? It's something that you are not going to use very often, but I have seen that medical applications and weather applications is used very often. Personally speaking, I don't use it very often, but when I use it, I find it very helpful. Okay, can give you some information that is difficult to see. So basically the idea here is that you need to apply now color maps to hide some information. So as you go here, now you have your edit color map, and now you can play here. So you select a quantity. Let me do it with Mac number, that user is the one I use, and see that you are looking at the whole volume here with transparency, and you can control that here. So let me add 2 levels here and to show you fast in the virtual machine, and then I move now to the window, okay, installation, which should be much faster. So I can see it's a little bit, it's lagging a lot here. So let me close here. Okay, I hope you got the point, but just to show you that it works in your virtual machine, paraview, you're using your OpenFOAM dataset, but remember I mentioned that OpenFOAM dataset is the slowest one, it's better to use inside of BTK, and this is what I want to show you. So let me minimize this, and let me open paraview 601, okay? So in the video description, you're going to have the link to download this one. So to show you something, I have the inside dataset that we have used a lot, and to show you something, because in some other dataset we have when doing slices and so on, paraview was complaining with polyhedral cells, and often I don't pay attention to that. But here, let me show you what is the issue or from where you get it. So if I try to do the volume rendering, yes, you get the typical warning, so be careful if you have large data set. And here you have non-tetrasol, okay? So this is not a big issue in the other post-processing that we were doing, but here, yes, in the volume rendering, it is important. And this simply happens, it is an issue from the conversion when I do here in OpenFOAM from OpenFOAM format to inside format. Okay, something that probably somebody wants to report it to the developers, but it's that conversion. If you convert it to BTK, there is no problem. The BTK dataset doesn't have that problem. Okay, so basically here you have the standard dataset, okay, the inside format, the one that here have the problem, and then here I have the exactly the same, but I save it in BTK format. Okay, so in the video description you can download that, and let me show you that now the BTK doesn't have the problem, and this is the one that I'm going to use just for the volume rendering. But as I mentioned, BTK and Sci are much faster than the native OpenFOAM. I prefer Sci, but from time to time Sci can give you this problem, but it's the conversion in OpenFOAM. So I select the BTK, and let me put it here and see that it is working. Okay, so do not panic, just a problem of the data set that I'm using and converting in OpenFOAM. So someone want to report that, it's up to you. For me, it's not big of a deal. So now that we have this, how do we manipulate this? As I mentioned, you have here the color map and you edit everything. So now it's much faster outside of the virtual machine. So you can see that everything is fast. Also it's fast because it's a small data set. So as I mentioned, everything is controlled here. You select, so let me use the map number and increase here, reduce here, and see that basically this is what you're doing. Okay, so let me here, and we can see more. No, you see the volume rendering of all the map number between this range that we are not adding no transparency, and there you go. So it's a really cool way to visualize. So in this case, for instance, you can see the fumes or the exhaust here or whatever, or a shock wave. You can capture that. So here in the color map, you click in the line and you can add a point, del to the leads. You click here, see that you can also control kind of like a spline and something else. So let me click here, so see that you can add that control. So it's very easy to use. Okay, you just need to know how, what are the colors that you would like to blank. Okay, so this is the volume rendering, but this is the native one that you have with paraview. Okay, so let me erase everything and we go there. Let me close here, and this is the VTK. Something else just to show the VTK as it is safe in OpenFOAM. OpenFOAM, when you convert, it will convert the volume, and then every single surface that you have, it will create a folder. So it can be a little bit annoying not to open everything, but that is how it works. You can automate everything, so it's not a big deal. Now what I want to do is that, okay, I mentioned that you use now the volume rendering native in paraview, but it can be a little bit slow. There is something much better. So if you download, as you go to the download, okay, so I'm using version 6.03, I think, or 6.01. The newest one will be 6.1. I'm waiting for that one because there are new additions, but it still is a release candidate, so I prefer to stay with the stable one. But here you will see that you have the documentation, what is called NVIDIA Index paraview. So this is the volume rendering from the guy from NVIDIA. So well, probably they know 2 or 3 things about rendering. So to enable that, okay, to remind you, you go plugins, and somewhere you have here boatloads of plugins, so get familiar with those. The one I want to use is this one. Okay, so there you go. So NVIDIA, and then this index means that it works for a scalar, so you need to have a scalar quantity. So you have a vector, just use the calculator and extract that. Load selected, and that's it. Okay, then you should have it here, but I don't see it because you need to open the dataset after you load, or you can download that by default. When you open paraview, always load. So just to show you, so you don't know that. So here there is an option, auto load here. So when you open, but I don't use it very often, so I don't put it. So if I open now exactly the same dataset, so there, put it there. There you go. So you have NVIDIA Index, and this will be the volume rendering from NVIDIA. So pretty much they will do the same, but this one is much faster, more options, and so. So let me go back to this one, the classical warning. So you will see that here you don't have any specific options for that rendering. Okay, so also be careful here that you need to enable this to see advanced options. Instead, the NVIDIA Index, you are going to have specific options. Okay, for NVIDIA. Okay, so here you will see this NVIDIA stuff. Okay, so you go to the manual and you will see what they do, but just to mention that you have more stuff and you can do photorealistic rendering and so. So as I mentioned, this is much better, much faster, and give you much nicer results now for some specific visualization. So to do the blanking or the transparency, as usual, you go here, just add the points, and then you can control everything. Okay, let me go here, and there you go. Okay, something that I found much easier, because sometimes you don't know this data set where you have the peaks and so on, so you can also visualize display histogram. So here, let me put, for instance, 50 bars, and there you go. So now you know that, for instance, most of the thing that you see is Mac number 03, the free string, that you don't want to see that. So here might be easier to control, here by looking at the histogram, then move here, can move here, let me add another point, and there you go. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you use NVIDIA or the original paraview, it's the same stuff. Now you need to add transparency now for different range, and there you go, the GPU now is kicking in the fan, and this is super cool. There you go. Okay, so feel free to play. As I mentioned, I'm not using very often on external dynamics. I know that people doing medical imaging, they use it a lot, and super cool visualizations you will see. Here I use it usually for polyton transport and that stuff, and can be very, very useful. Vortex detection, but it is expensive getting the thick vortices and so on, but that's it. So what I want to show you also, that when you do this stuff, let me go the normal one, let me erase, because you can also take here, or no, you can, it will take the whole domain, and that's why this stuff is super expensive now. So let me go like this and see that you're visualizing the whole domain using this volume render. That's super expensive. So you can also click your data, and some people ask me, now when you go here, what is the deal with this kind of clipping? But why not using only the slice now that you put in a slide, and you have this one that you clip the volume? Well, you will get an idea here why it can be useful. So let me use a sphere. So you put in a sphere, and what I would like to do is extract everything that is sphere. Okay, let me change the ratio, the radius. Let me put 20, and let me put here in 0. So look at that sphere, apply. And now what you are doing with this clipping is that you are extracting everything, and now you are going to manipulate just this data set. So imagine that your whole data set, it is 100 million cells, and when you apply this clipping, now you get here 20 million cells. It would be, let's say, lighter, it's still expensive, but this is this kind of clipping. Some people ask me, well, does it make sense to, well, here you have. This is not only for volume rendering, for any kind of post-processing that you do, you are reducing effectively the amount of data that you have in memory. Very useful. Large data set, I use it a lot. So now here you can do exactly the same stuff. You can go in this case, let me use NVIDIA, but it can be any kind of the other one, the standard one. You can use that standard clipping. Okay, so what? Since that is going to crash, and yeah, I don't know what happened. Let me go here, volume, yes. For some reason, okay, this one now is working. So see that you have this data set, and you can apply your filter, and you put it there, and this is it. So you can go to the NVIDIA as well. I don't know why did it crash previously, or it's still crashing. It doesn't matter. To mention also here that this one all you can apply as well. Let me erase this clip here, and let me put the whole domain here. You have here some other options, as I mentioned, go to the manual, but this one also you can do the same stuff. You have it here, okay, and you can reduce the data set, so it can be much lighter, and there you go. So now you have this, and let me go here and apply, and this can be, as I mentioned as well, this can be for any data set, okay, but it has to be on a scalar. So if you have a vector, it's not going to work, but unique to decompose. And probably that was the error previously. So if you go to calculator, let's see, UX, let me call it UX, extract that component, and now you can apply that rendering to that data set, okay? But be careful, only vector or only scalar. So even if you have a tensor, okay, render tensor, let's say, just extract the component, and that's it. And there you go. Okay, so it's a very nice way to visualize. As I mentioned, I don't use it very often, but when I use it, I get impressive, super cool results. Okay, you have many ways to do rendering, photorealistic stuff, but be careful that you need here good GPUs. Okay, there is a lot that you can do. Okay, as I mentioned, capture the wingtip vortices is very nice, or shockwave. So let me go here, let me put here. So as you see here, I'm capturing now regions with high velocity, and now let me put the aircraft. So to avoid the pain of reading all those BTK, let me open here the inside. So yeah, you can mix the data types. And here I only want to visualize, okay, this, this. Apply. Hi. Okay. Now, let's see this. So the color, and there you go. So imagine that if we were doing this simulation, supersonic or transonic, you will see now the shockwave, the standoff here. Very cool. Okay, you can add that this nice visualization or high impact visualization. So this is it for volume rendering. Okay, so feel free to play around. Be careful, you need good EPU for this stuff, and I recommend you to use the NVIDIA option. It gives you more and more options, and it's much faster. Thank you very much, and see you next video. Bye.